On the 28th of September 2018, at 23 hours, 24 minutes and 19 seconds UTC-2, a Boeing 737-8BK aircraft, registered P2PXE, operated by Air Niugini Limited, was on a scheduled passenger flight number PX-73 from Pohnpei to Chuuk in the Federated States of Micronesia when, during its final approach, the aircraft impacted the water of the Chuuk Lagoon, about 500 feet short of the runway 4 threshold. The aircraft deflected across the water several times before it settled in the water and turned clockwise through 210 deg and drifted 460 feet southeast of the runway 4 extended centreline, with the nose of the aircraft pointing about 265 deg. The pilot in command was the pilot flying, and the co-pilot was the support, monitoring pilot. An aircraft maintenance engineer occupied the cockpit jump seat. The engineer videoed the final approach on his iPhone, which predominantly showed the cockpit instruments. Local boaters rescued 28 passengers and 2 cabin crew from the leftover wing exits. 2 cabin crew, the 2 pilots and the engineer, were rescued by local boaters from the forward door 1 liter. 1 life raft was launched from the left aft over wing exit by cabin crew CC5 with the assistance of a passenger. The U.S. Navy divers rescued 6 passengers and 4 cabin crew, and the loadmaster from the right aft over wing exit. All injured passengers were evacuated from the left over wing exits. 1 passenger was fatally injured, and local divers located his body in the aircraft 3 days after the accident. The PIC intended to conduct an RNAV GPS approach to runway 4 at Chuuk International Airport, and briefs the co-pilot accordingly. The descent and approach were initially conducted in visual meteorological conditions, but from 546 feet for the aircraft was flown in instrument meteorological conditions. The flight crew did not adhere to Air Niugini SOPM and the approach and pre-landing checklists. The RNAV-RWI-4 approach chart procedure was not adequately briefed. The RNAV approach specified a flight path descent angle guide of 30. The aircraft was flown at a high rate of descent and a steep variable flight path angle averaging 4.50 during the approach, with lateral over-controlling. The approach was unstabilized. The flight data recorder recorded a total of 17 enhanced ground proximity warning system alerts, specifically 8 sink rate and 9 glide slope. The recorded information from the cockpit voice recorder showed that a total of 14 EGPWS oral alerts sounded after passing the minimum descent altitude, between 307 feet, and the impact point. A 100 feet advisory was enunciated, in accordance with design standards, overriding one of the glide slope oral alert. The other oral alerts were 7 glide slope and 6 sink rate. The investigation observed that the flight crew disregarded the alerts and did not acknowledge the minimums and 100 feet alerts, a symptom of fixation and channelized attention. The crew were fixated on cues associated with the landing and control inputs due to the extension of forward flap. Both pilots were not situationally aware and did not recognize the developing significant, unsafe condition during the approach after passing the missed approach point when the aircraft entered a storm cell and heavy rain. The weather radar on the PIC's navigation display showed a large red area indicating a storm cell immediately after the map, between the map and the runway. The co-pilot as the support, monitoring pilot was ineffective and was oblivious to the rapidly unfolding unsafe situation. He did not recognize the significant unsafe condition and therefore did not realize the need to challenge the PIC and take control of the aircraft, as required by the Air Niugini SOPM. Prior to top of descent, the crew briefly discussed brake setting for the landing. The pilots then commenced a discussion about the approach and landing flap setting. The co-pilot asked the PIC if they should use flap 30, and the PIC replying yeah, flaps 30 would do, 141 plus 5 ah. The discussion continued around whether to use flap 30 or 40. The co-pilot entered the relevant conditional data into the electronic flight bag Boeing Opt and determined that the use of flap 40 would reduce the landing distance required by about 150 meters. He informed the PIC and the PIC agreed to select flap 40. They then discussed the approach and missed approach procedure they would conduct at HAMAX if they found themselves not visual by that point. However, the approach and landing checklist and the briefing on the RNAV approach chart briefings were not conducted in accordance with the SOPs, and not using standard phraseology. The missed approach was just a cursory mention of DAMAY and did not cover the procedure nor the flight path to be followed. At 22 hours, 54 minutes and 36 seconds, San Francisco radio contacted the crew with the following decent clearance: ATC clearance, Niugini 73, descend to reach FL 340 by time 23:05 S13, requirement to reach FL 340 by time 23:05 Z, and report level, FL 340, cruise, FL 340, To Chuuk Airport, report arrival. Report leaving FL 280, flight level 180 and flight level 80, time check, 254.25. At top of descent, the PIC stated to the copilot that they were already high and needed to immediately initiate their descent. The crew commenced their descent leaving FL 40014 at 22 hours, 56 minutes and 18 seconds, at a descent rate of 944 feet divided by PM. At FL 340, the copilot contacted San Francisco radio and reported that they were maintaining FL 340. Both pilots discussed the descent clearance for about 2 minutes, trying to recall and clarify the instructions that they were given. At 23 hours, 5 minutes and 14 seconds, while maintaining FL 340, the PIC stated to the copilot that they were high on profile and needed to descend to get back on the required descent profile. At 23 hours, 8 minutes and 16 seconds, the PIC said, "All right, we catching back on profile, so just keep the speed up." The copilot contacted Chuuk Radio at 23 hours, 8 minutes and 54 seconds and requested a weather update. Chuuk Radio acknowledged and asked the crew to stand by for the weather update. The PIC, realizing that they were still high on profile, instructed the copilot to go on VNAV. At 23 hours, 11 minutes and seconds, Chuuk Radio contacted the crew with the weather update for Chuuk stating, wind variable at 5, visibility 14 scattered 12 Charlie Bravo, broken 120 overcast 280, temperature 26 .25, altimeter 2973. At 23 hours, 11 minutes and 25 seconds, the copilot reported passing FL 180 to San Francisco radio. At 23 hours, 15 minutes and 59 seconds, at about 15 nm from Chuuk while passing 600 feet, the copilot made an inbound broadcast call stating their intention to track for the RNAV runway 4 from the east-southeast. Shortly after the broadcast, the copilot contacted San Francisco radio and reported passing 8 feet on descent. Prior to commencing the approach, while on descent through 4 feet, the PIC stated, "All right, the missed approaches," but he did not continue and the copilot did not respond. The PIC did not continue his statement. Question with respect to the missed approach briefing. 23 hours, 20 minutes and 53 seconds, the PIC stated to the copilot, "Okay, we on RNAV at 41 and I'll go 1000. Shortly afterwards at 23 hours, 21 minutes and 7 seconds, the copilot made a general broadcast, stating that they were established on 41 inbound via the RNAV runway 4. 23 hours, 21 minutes and 27 seconds, the PIC called for gear down and flaps 15. And stated, "We just configure as we can." The PIC did not complete his instructions to the copilot. 23 hours, 22 minutes and 33 seconds, the copilot mentioned to the PIC that there were some showers in the area, and the PIC acknowledged by stating, "That must be some storm, but it'll be out soon." The PIC called for the landing checklist, but the only readout made by the copilot was landing gear, flaps and lights and runway in sight. 23 hours, 22 minutes and 42 seconds, the PIC said to the copilot, "I will probably just go down on the PAPIs." 7 seconds later the PIC said, "All right, flaps 30, flaps 40. 23 hours, 22 minutes and 54 seconds, the PIC said, "Landing checks." At the EGPWS 1 feet altitude call out, the copilot told the PIC, "Okay, stable." 4 seconds later the PIC said, "Continue." The copilot then said, "And visual, 900 cloud base." 23 hours, 23 minutes and 41 seconds, the copilot set the missed approach altitude on the mode control, and shortly afterwards, when passing 625 feet 17, with the aircraft above the 30 glide slope, the PIC disconnected the autopilot and stated, "I'm going back on profile." 23 hours, 23 minutes and 43 seconds, when passing 548 feet on descent, the aircraft entered the storm cell and heavy rain, and the PIC called for the wipers to be switched on. The PIC stated during the investigation interview that he had already made the decision that it was visual up ahead with the runway edge lighting to continue for landing at that stage. 23 hours, 23 minutes and 49 seconds, the PIC said, "Okay, landing." 23 hours, 23 minutes and 52 seconds, the copilot said, "Visual, 1 red, 3 whites." 23 hours, 23 minutes and 53 seconds, EGPWS minimums call out. 23 hours, 24 minutes and seconds as the EGPWS call out was repeating sync rate, the PIC said, "I just want to get on profile." 23 hours, 24 minutes and 3 seconds, EGPWS call out repeated glide slope, glide slope, glide slope. 23 hours, 24 minutes and 6 seconds EGPWS call out repeated sync rate, and the pic said to the copilot, "That's fine, I'll just go a little bit more." 23 hours, 24 minutes and 9 seconds EGPWS call out repeated glide slope, 23 hours, 24 minutes and 11 seconds the copilot rapidly asked, "See the runway." 23 hours, 24 minutes and 12 seconds EGPWS call out 100, glide slope and the pic said monitor airspeed. Okay, got it. 23 hours, 24 minutes and 13 seconds EGPWS call out repeated glide slope. 23 hours, 24 minutes and 17 seconds. Copilot called rapidly with high intonation. Too low, we're too low, we're too low, we're too low. End of recording. Actual flight profile. The aircraft was being flown on a RNAV approach to runway 4. While the autopilot system was engaged, the approach was stabilized, tracking 0410 from FIGBI 2, 500 feet, passing FASPO at 700 feet. The pic disconnected the autopilot at 625 feet and